Charlie was gone. No one expected him to come back. But when he did, everything changed. For Detective Charlie Hudson, for Rex, and for the entire Major Crimes team. Episode 8 of Hudson and Rex isn't just another case. It's a turning point. A moment where the past walks back into the present and forces everyone to face what they thought was finished. This is the episode that stirs old emotions, sparks new tensions, and reminds us why we love this show. Before we get into the full breakdown of Episode 8, let's take a quick look at how we got here. Hudson and Rex Season 1 has already laid down strong roots, introducing us to Detective Charlie Hudson, his loyal K-9 partner Rex, and the rest of the team at the St. John's Police Department. Each episode has given us a new mystery to solve, but behind every case is a growing sense of connection, not just between Charlie and Rex, but within the whole team. In earlier episodes, we've seen Charlie struggle with personal loss and isolation. While he often comes across as calm and professional, there's a weight he carries, a past that still haunts him. Rex, the former K-9 of a fallen officer, shares that same shadow of grief. That's part of what makes their bond so strong. Both lost someone important. Both are still healing. Together, they've become more than just a detective and his dog. They've become each other's anchor. By the time we reach Episode 7, the team has faced everything from kidnappings to corruption. But there's one name that hasn't come up yet. Charlie's old partner. The person who once had his back in the field. The one he trusted completely. That absence has been noticeable, even if not directly addressed. And now, in Episode 8, we finally get the answer to a question we didn't know we were asking. What happened to Charlie's partner, and why is he back? Episode 8 opens like many others with a case to solve. But from the start, there's a different energy in the air. There's tension we can't quite place. When Charlie walks into the crime scene, he seems distracted, like something's bothering him beneath the surface. Then we see why. A familiar figure enters the scene. Calm, confident, and slightly smug, Charlie's former partner, Detective Joe Donovan. It's been years since they last worked together. No one expected him to be assigned to this case. But here he is, and just like that, the balance is off. Charlie isn't just surprised. He's shaken. There's history here, and it's not all good. Joe's return isn't announced with dramatic music or loud confrontations. Instead, it slips in quietly, like a memory you thought you buried. For the rest of the team, it's business as usual. For Charlie, it's personal. And for Rex, the loyal dog picks up on his partner's unease instantly. Rex is alert, wary, and watching every move Joe makes. The writers of the show don't spell everything out at once. Instead, they give us hints, a glance, a pause in the conversation, a shift in tone. We're left to wonder, did Joe leave under bad circumstances? Was there a betrayal, a mistake, or something deeper? Meanwhile, the case of the week starts to unfold. A local businessman is found dead under mysterious circumstances. What seems like a simple robbery gone wrong quickly turns into something more complicated. As clues begin to surface, tensions between Charlie and Joe start bubbling beneath the surface. They don't argue openly, but you can see it. Joe challenges Charlie's methods. Charlie resists Joe's suggestions. It's like watching two people who used to move in sync now stepping on each other's toes. Sarah, Jesse, and Superintendent Donovan, who is actually Joe's older sister, try to keep the investigation on track. But even they can sense the tension. And as the case deepens, it becomes clear that solving the crime won't just take skill and teamwork. It will take trust. And right now, Charlie doesn't trust Joe. This is where the episode shines. It doesn't rush the conflict. It lets it simmer, slowly building a sense of unease. Joe tries to act like nothing happened, but Charlie isn't ready to play along. He keeps his distance, staying professional, but the emotional wall is clear. Rex stays close to Charlie's side, his protective instincts on high alert. Every time Joe gets too close, Rex positions himself between them. It's subtle, but powerful. By the end of the first act, we're not just invested in the murder case. We're invested in this unexpected reunion. The question is no longer just who killed the businessman. It's what happened between Charlie And Joe? And can they put their history aside to solve the case? And just when we think we might get a moment of peace, the plot twists. A new piece of evidence surfaces. It points to someone close to the victim, someone with motive, means, and opportunity. But there's a catch. Joe wants to follow one lead. Charlie thinks it's a distraction. The disagreement becomes more than just about the case. It's personal now. Old wounds are bleeding into new problems. As tensions rise, one thing becomes clear. Charlie's return into Joe's orbit wasn't by chance. And if they can't figure out how to work together again, it might cost more than just the case. As the case deepens, so does the tension between Charlie and Joe. What started as quiet discomfort now turns into visible friction. They both want to solve the murder, but they're pulling in different directions. Charlie trusts his instincts, shaped by his bond with Rex and his experience with emotional clues. Joe relies on procedure, logic, and what he calls clean evidence. Their styles clash, and the team begins to feel the strain. The victim, Martin Rowe, was a well-known businessman in St. John's. At first, it looked like a burglary gone wrong. His office had been trashed, his safe opened, and he was found with a single gunshot wound. But when Jesse runs a digital forensic sweep, something strange comes up. Martin's computer had been wiped just hours before his death. Someone wanted his secrets gone. But what secrets? Charlie wants to dig into Martin's personal life, starting with his wife, who seems emotionally detached from the murder. Joe, on the other hand, pushes to investigate a former employee who had a public argument with Martin just 2 weeks earlier. The disagreement becomes a dividing line in the team. Sarah tries to keep the peace, but even she senses that something isn't quite right between Charlie and Joe. It's during this phase of the episode that we learn more about Joe's past with Charlie. Through short conversations and careful dialogue, we begin to piece together that Joe and Charlie were partners several years ago. Something happened during a high-profile case, something that forced Joe to transfer out of major crimes. There are hints that Charlie felt betrayed, possibly even blamed Joe for a critical mistake, but the details are left murky. The show wants us to fill in the blanks, to feel the weight of their silence. Rex, as always, becomes the quiet observer who sees everything. In one subtle but powerful scene, Rex refuses to follow a command from Joe. It's a small moment, but it speaks volumes. Rex's loyalty to Charlie is unshakable, and Joe feels it. Meanwhile, the case starts to turn. Sarah finds unusual chemical, traces on the victim's shirt, traces that link back to a pharmaceutical lab Martin once invested in. A connection begins to form. Was Martin involved in illegal drug trials? Was someone silencing him before he went public? Television does. It pulls you in, gives you just enough to feel satisfied, and leaves you wanting more. Charlie follows this new lead, while Joe remains focused on the disgruntled employee. This decision leads them in completely opposite directions. Charlie speaks to the lab's former researcher, who reveals that Martin had recently threatened to go to the press. He was planning to expose the company's cover-up of dangerous test results. The motive becomes clear. Someone inside the company had everything to lose. But Joe doesn't buy it. He believes the former employee still had the motive: anger, revenge, maybe even jealousy. In a tense meeting with the team, he questions Charlie's judgment. The air in the room gets heavy. Sarah watches them like a referee in a match, trying not to take sides. Jesse awkwardly excuses himself. Even Superintendent Donovan, Joe's own sister, starts to look uncomfortable. Eventually, the case forces both men to cooperate again. A new witness comes forward, an intern at the lab who saw Martin arguing with someone in the parking lot the night he died. The description doesn't match the ex-employee, but it does match the lab's lead scientist. When this man is brought in for questioning, his calm falls apart quickly. Under pressure, and after a few carefully chosen words from Charlie, he breaks. It wasn't meant to be murder, he claims. Just a warning. Just fear. But the gun went off. Case closed. Justice served. But what's more important in this episode isn't just the solving of the crime, it's the healing, or at least the start, of it. After the suspect is taken away, Joe and Charlie finally talk. Not just about the case, but about their case. The one that ended their partnership. Joe admits that he made a call back then, a call that saved lives but left Charlie out to dry. He didn't mean to betray him, but he understands why Charlie felt that way. Charlie, in his usual calm but cutting tone, simply says, "I needed you to have my back. You didn't." And that's it. No big forgiveness scene, no handshakes or hugs, just honesty, raw and real. And Rex? He finally relaxes when Charlie steps away from Joe after that talk. It's like the dog knows there's no more danger here. Just old wounds finally aired out. The episode ends quietly, with Charlie and Rex walking out into the night. No dramatic music, just the soft sound of their footsteps and the distant city noise. It's not a perfect ending, but it's real. And for Hudson and Rex, that's exactly what keeps us coming back. As the case is closed and the suspect is taken into custody, there's a sense of calm over the major crimes unit. But it's not a resolution. It's a pause. A moment to breathe. Because even though justice has been served for the victim, there are deeper wounds still healing within the team. That's what makes Episode 8 such a powerful turning point. It gives us closure on the case, but leaves us asking deeper questions about the characters we've grown attached to. Charlie Hudson has always carried his emotions beneath the surface. He doesn't open up easily, not even to his closest teammates. And when Joe re-entered his life in this episode, those old walls went back up. Walls built from past hurt, broken trust, and a history that was never fully resolved. But now, after confronting Joe, Charlie isn't just dealing with an old partner. He's dealing with the man he used to be. The officer who once believed partnerships were unbreakable. The man who learned that trust can be shattered in a single moment. Rex, ever the loyal partner, acts almost as a mirror to Charlie's emotions. In this episode, we see a more protective, alert side of him. When Charlie is guarded, Rex is guarded. When Charlie finally lets go of some of that pain, Rex softens too. This bond between man and dog is more than teamwork. It's emotional support in its purest form. And as the episode ends, we feel that connection deepen even further. No words, no commands, just silent understanding between two beings who've lost something and found each other. And what about Joe? His return was supposed to be temporary, a joint task, a simple collaboration. But his interactions with the team, especially his own sister, Superintendent Donovan, suggest otherwise. There's something unresolved about his presence. Maybe he wants to come back for good. Maybe he's trying to fix what he broke. But one thing is clear. Joe isn't done with this story, and the story isn't done with him. Then there's the team. Sarah, Jesse, Donovan. They all watch this episode play out like a drama behind the scenes of a case. While they stayed focused on the facts, they were also observing the emotions. Sarah especially played a quiet but important role as Charlie's emotional support. She knows when to push and when to give him space. She doesn't ask too many questions, but she always makes it known she's there. Their chemistry continues to grow, not forced, not rushed, just present and natural. Jesse, the tech genius, added the light touches of humor and heart this episode needed. While he often serves as comic relief, his loyalty to Charlie was clear in his actions. He didn't take sides in the silent tension between Charlie and Joe, but you could tell he was rooting for Charlie all the way. As for Superintendent Donovan, her role in this episode was especially layered. She had to balance her duties as a leader with her personal connection to Joe. Her quiet moments, observing, stepping in, guiding the team, suggest that she's not just a supervisor. She's a stabilizing force. But even she looked uneasy when tensions rose. It shows us that this isn't just Charlie and Joe's past. It's something that affects the entire department. By the end of episode 8, everything feels different. Not dramatic-y, but emotionally. Charlie is still the lead detective, Rex is still his shadow, and the team still works like clockwork. But there's a shift. An unspoken understanding that things have changed. Maybe Joe's return reminded Charlie that the past can still reach into the present. Maybe it reminded the whole team that even strong bonds can be tested. And then, the final scene. Quiet. Understated and perfectly paced. Charlie stands outside the precinct with Rex at his side. He looks up at the sky, thoughtful. He doesn't say anything, but his expression says it all. Something's still bothering him. Not about the case, but about Joe. About what wasn't said. About what might still need to be said. Rex gives a soft bark, nudging him with his head. Charlie smiles faintly, runs a hand through Rex's fur, and whispers, "Let's go home, boy." The screen fades to black. No dramatic cliffhanger, no explosion, just a feeling. A quiet moment that tells us, this isn't over. Joe may be gone, for now, but the door has been left open. For more conflict, more growth, and maybe, eventually, for forgiveness. What comes next? Will Charlie finally face the parts of his past he's kept buried? Will Joe return in future episodes, not as a guest, but as a challenge to Charlie's leadership? And how will Rex adapt if the people around him start to shift? These are the kinds of questions that episode 8 leaves us with. Not because it failed to deliver answers, but because it knew which answers to hold back. That's what Great Day.